So our last video was about 8-track tapes and how they got their name, and if you haven't watched it, it's pretty fun. So this week I thought I'd build on that multi-track idea and talk about something else that most people don't know anything about, and it's 2-inch tape. And this is it right here, 2-inch tape. Now, though you probably aren't familiar with these, just about every professional audio recording you listen to from the 70s, 80s, and most of the 90s was recorded on one of these. And it's actually really heavy. This was the industry standard for professional recording. And for many people, this media is still considered the ultimate in quality for audio production. But digital audio recording now is so much less expensive and so much more convenient. Pretty much everybody's moved to that format. But to give you an idea of how significant this was, even the Foo Fighters in one of their most recent albums went out of their way to get a 2-inch tape machine and record that album, that CD, on this format. So why was this format such a big deal? Well, to begin with, this format had the ability to record 24 tracks. In other words, you could record 24 different things, instruments, voices, whatever, independently on this tape. It's called multi-track recording. And although you can't see it, this tape is actually divided up into 24 different areas. Each of those areas is called a track, and the sound engineers could record and manipulate the sounds on each track individually. Not only did it sound better, but it was much more flexible because people didn't have to record everything at once. A band could start off recording the drums and bass and go back later and add the guitar and vocals and keyboards. You could record up to 24 different things. Even a drum set. Each drum could be on its own track. And it was great for mistakes too. If you messed up your guitar solo, just erase it and record it again. And the width of the tape, which was 2 inches, provided plenty of surface area for the magnetic signal for each track. This was really important for audio quality. And not only was there plenty of surface area in the width, this was true for the length too. These tapes recorded at up to 30 inches per second, which means 1 second of audio took almost a yard of this tape. So once a band recorded all the instruments, fixed the mistakes, etc., that's when they would create the mix. And if you've ever seen a mixing board, that's what all the faders, knobs, and buttons are for. They're used to manipulate the audio on each individual track. Now this is an example of one right here. Each of these sections in a mixing board is called a channel, and it corresponds to one of the tracks on the tape. Turn things up and down, add effects, change the equalization, whatever. That process was called mixing. The sound engineers would play this tape, and while they were making all the adjustments on the mixing board, they were literally recording what they were doing onto another tape. So mixing a song was kind of a performance by itself. You had to make all these adjustments while you were recording them, and if you messed up, if you turned something up or down at the wrong time, you had to start over. And those mixes were then recorded onto a 1/2-inch tape like this one. And in later years, mixes began to be put on these DATs, digital audio tapes. And from there, they could create the master where they could make the cassettes, the LPs, the CDs, 8-tracks, whatever it happened to be. Now, like I said earlier, some people still consider these the top of the line in audio quality, but digital recording was just too inexpensive and too convenient for this to survive. And I'll give you one of the reasons. A tape like this cost around $200. And because it spun so fast at 30 inches per second, you could only get just a little over 15 minutes of recording on this. So maybe 3 songs could get recorded on this. So to put that in perspective, when you're doing digital audio recording right now, you can buy a 1 terabyte hard drive for $50, and on that hard drive probably record every song you write the rest of your life. To make matters worse, a good tape machine to record and play back this format could cost you over $100,000, and an adequate mixing board would be around the same. So just getting started with professional audio recording during that era could be a $250,000 investment. But when you go back and listen to Journey and Pink Floyd, every popular band, movie soundtracks, symphonies, orchestras, just about anything you can imagine was recorded on this format. And truthfully, although digital recording is much more convenient and it sounds great, we really have never improved on the quality that you get from one of these tapes. You could argue that we've matched it, but that's just about it. As a matter of fact, some companies actually make software plugins to use with digital audio recording that mimic the warm sound you get from this format. And although I have some nostalgia having recorded on this format as much as I did, I really don't miss it. But all of us have benefited from great sounds and great music that were the result of recording on this format. Anyway, now you know a little bit about 2-inch, 24-track tape.